Let's review before we go back into talking about what Postman does. So here to review, we have an iPhone, right? We have the client here, which is an iPhone. The iPhone makes a request to example, the Yelp's API. So far, we've seen what an API endpoint looks like. So for here, if I say I want to get tacos, for example, it sends up a request to the Yelp API, right? We get back a response in that form of JSON. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? So that request we get back, for example, in that format here that we have in Postman. This here is JSON data. It's JSON data that we get back. So here we get back data back as JSON. Along with the data we get back, along with the response that we get back, we also get back a status code like we saw earlier. There was a status code 200, right? 200, everything went on okay. 400, something went wrong, right? We do not have authorization to get that particular request from that API. Okay? Yes?
Okay, because I'm still waiting for mine to completely download. I'm taking notes so I know to expect when I do get it downloaded. On the example that you gave us, it has information filled into it, but on what I see here.
Hold on. Information filled into it. You mean Postman here?
No, this one is empty. Are they supposed to be like empty brackets such that we put information?
Oh yeah, that's the data we got back. It's empty. That's not us. That's them.
Oh,
The data we get back, the JSON data we get back, there's no manipulating that data.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay?
So whatever we get back, it is what it is.
Exactly.
So like the one that you gave us, the JSON response, that's from a different website, right?
Let's see. The one coming on the side here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is coming from Apple's podcast, which we could actually
Similar to it because they're both.
we could actually copy that one into and see what it looks like. Okay, so we'll copy that one in after yours come back. Let us know that your Postman is good. Everybody else, your Postman is good, right, to go? Okay, cool. So let's go back and talk about JSON here. So we spoke about JSON. What does JSON mean? JSON basically is JavaScript object notation, right? It looks very similar to JavaScript. We've seen 2 days of JavaScript, right? All of us? Who hasn't seen 2 days of JavaScript?
You said JavaScript.
JavaScript object notation, that's what it means. JSON, that's what it means. JavaScript object notation, right? Why JavaScript object notation? It's basically very similar. It looks like JavaScript. It was written for the web. It was written using JavaScript, okay? It's a web standard, right? Regardless of making a website or whatever you're doing, if you get in JSON, this is the format that you get in. The 2 valid formats is either the JSON comes back as a dictionary or as an array. We all know what dictionaries are now. We all know what arrays are. So either you're getting a dictionary as the root level of that JSON, either it's a dictionary or it's an array. Anything else is not valid JSON. Okay? Let's see what I'm talking about here. So for example, here, this would be valid JSON. It's a dictionary. It opens up with a curly bracket. It closes with a curly bracket. Very similar to our JSON here in Postman. Do we all see line number 1? When you're looking to see what the root level is in your Postman, you look for the first line. What's that bracket? Is it a square bracket or is it a curly bracket? If it's a curly bracket, it's a dictionary. Everybody with me? If it's a square bracket, the root level is an array. Those are very, very important to know when we start modeling the JSON into Swift objects. So, one of 2 types. Either it's a dictionary, curly bracket, or either it's square bracket. I mean, that's easy for us, right? Because square bracket we know is array, but maybe not really, because Objective-C was, okay, let's not talk about Objective-C for now. Okay, so for now, JSON, it's curly bracket. Array, it's square bracket. So this would be an array of races. Square bracket. Up here, this would be a dictionary. Also valid, it needs to have a string. This is the key, right? The key here is name. It has a string, colon. We won't be writing our own JSON objects too much, right? But we should know what valid JSON is, and we should know how to observe what type. What's the root level of that JSON? Is it an array or is it a dictionary? Everybody with me? Because that's very important to know for parsing that JSON into Swift objects. So with that said, what is the top level of our dog API array? Not array, sorry. Our dog API endpoint. What is the top level JSON there? Is it a dictionary or is it an array? May? Dictionary. Lilia, do you agree? Cassandra, is it an array or a dictionary? Why dictionary? Because of the curly braces. Everybody with me so far? Cool? Let's actually go ahead and type our own JSON for now to get familiar with what the syntax looks like. Everybody go ahead and type in jsonlint.com into your browser. Type in jsonlint.com into your browser. Madame, JSON lint. I can see, I got many eyes. Lint. LINT.com. Cool. All right, press enter. Great, so let's create our own JSON and actually validate. So this website, what it does, you have some JSON, you're like, yes, it works, but you want to validate if it really is valid JSON. Everybody with me? So you could take some JSON blurb and put it in here, tap on the validate JSON, and this website will let you know, is it valid JSON? Okay, so let's go ahead and type in some JSON here. I'll start out by opening a bracket. I'll use a curly bracket. I'll use a name keyword, followed by a colon. Put in your name. I'll use a comma. And next line, I will say occupation. I'll put a colon. Let's see, let me zoom that in a little bit. Can we all see in the back? Can we all see in the back? Okay, cool. So occupation here, I'll put in an occupation. So here, my JSON is pretty much done. At this point, I will, when I'm done, I'll say validate JSON. And here the result said it's valid JSON. It's green, it said it's valid JSON. But what if I forgot some comma here? So name Alex Paul, I don't have a comma. I say validate JSON. It gives me an error. Everybody with me? So if you have some sample JSON testing, test it in JSON lint. Validate that it is JSON, then go back to your playgrounds or your application to test it out. Everybody with me? So far, so good. Okay, cool. So let's validate that again. This is this, and then validate JSON. Great. So this is valid JSON. Great, good to go. Questions? Yes, sir?
I might be a little rusty on dictionaries, but is this considered one dictionary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that also
That's just one entire dictionary with two key value pairs.
okay?
Right, so my question was, how do you read that dictionary out, right? So this dictionary has two objects. It has a name and it has an occupation. Everybody with me, right? The name is unique. It has to be unique for it to be valid. And the value in that case is Alex Paul. It is a string, okay? So here we have name, it's a key, and we have the value, it's a string, occupation, also a key, and the value is iOS instructor. Everybody with me? I could also give it a next value here. I could say age, and I could put in 41. Damn, that guy's old. Right? I think I'm the oldest here. So as in Swift, right, I would say Alex Paul is what type? What data type? A string, right? Alex Paul, do we agree that Alex Paul is a string?
Yes.
Okay, what's about iOS instructor? What's 41? An int, right? Everybody with me so far? All those parts are very important as far as knowing. Let's do latitude. Latitude, what's the latitude of here? 40, 43, 40.7? Who knows the latitude of? All right, what data type would 40.73 be? A double, right? Everybody with me? Okay, let's validate this is JSON. I put a comma here, and I say validate JSON, and it's still valid. Was everybody able to validate the JSON? It is valid, correct? Okay, so we'll take that simple JSON model, and we'll make it a Swift object. Because in Swift, you can't just take this JSON and put it into your application and make it work, right? With Swift, we have now at our disposal, as of Swift 4.2, we have a class that helps us to parse meaning convert, right? Parse, P-A-R-S-E, parse a JSON object into a Swift object, right? Now we have at our disposal classes for that. One of those classes is Codable, which we'll see what that looks like. And the next class is called JSON Decoder. Those are the two key classes we need. So one of the classes is Codable. Right? Codable, a type that can convert itself into and out of an external representation. That external representation here that we see is JSON. It could be a different data type, but the data type we're interested in, that external representation there, is JSON. Take JSON and make my model be able to convert itself to a Swift model. So Codable is one of those types we need, and the next type we'll look at today is called JSON Decoder. And what's JSON Decoder? JSON Decoder, an object that decodes instances of a data type from JSON, right? Basically what that means, I need that class in order for me to convert the data that I'm getting, into a Swift model. So we'll take those two types together, and we'll take our JSON lint example, and we'll make a Swift model, right? We'll make a Swift model, we'll call it person, for example, and we'll see what that looks like as far as like taking some JSON from the web, or taking some JSON locally, doesn't matter. This could be web data, this could be local data, but it is JSON. Everybody with me? Taking that JSON object and making a Swift model with it. This is our exercise right now. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. One of the good tools to use while doing small code snippets like that is Playgrounds. We love Playgrounds. So Playgrounds is a place that we'll go to take our JSON and convert it into a Swift model. Everybody with me? Cool? Okay. So let me stack this out here. We spoke about Codable. And we spoke about JSON Decoder. Cool, great. So next up, let's go ahead and open up a playground. You could open up a playgrounds, call it parsing JSON or JSON parsing. So new playgrounds, blank playground. I'll call it JSON parsing, create. Great. Okay. So what do we need? Let's go back and see what data we have. So in our JSON lint example, JSON lint, we have what's the root level? Is it an array or a dictionary? It's a dictionary, right? So the first thing we'll do, we'll see what our JSON looks like. We know what the JSON looks like. We say it's a dictionary. We know that part. We'll use Codable to create a model, a struct model. We'll call it person, for example. We'll create a person object. We need to conform to Codable. We need to go ahead and conform to Codable to make our Swift object be able to be decodable. To be able to use JSON decoder, we have to make that object conform to Codable, right? Those are the parts we need. We'll go through that multiple times through curriculum. But the first step is make an object, a struct, conform to quotable. Next step is to look at your JSON and see what properties you need. In our example, we'll use all 4 properties. So we have to go through each property and say what data type it is. For name, we agreed that the data type is a string, correct? For occupation, we agreed that the data type is a string. For age, we said the data type is what, David?
No, int.
Int, right? And for latitude, Mr. Adan? That's a double, right? So we'll take those 4 properties and we'll make a struct. We'll call it person, conform to quotable. That's step 1. Everybody with me? So let's go to our playgrounds and set that up. So I'll create a struct. I'll call it person. We made a Swift file. We called it JSON parsing. Swift playgrounds, sorry. Swift playgrounds. So I have my struct. It's a person. What else did we say we need to do? What's that? Conform to quotable, right? Why we conforming to quotable? We conforming to quotable so that we could use JSON decoder to decode the data coming in to that object person. It needs to conform to quotable. Yes, sir?
Can't you also conform to decodable?
Yes. So Howard's question was, can we also conform to decodable? Yes, you can. But for now, I'd want to just keep the 2 as one object. So what Howard is saying, quotable, can we all see in the back? Should I do white on black, or are you guys good? Dark mode is good here? Okay, so here I have quotable. Quotable is an alias that encapsulates the decodable and decodable and encodable protocol. Right? So it takes those 2 protocols and it packages it into one decodable. Sorry. What quotable is an alias, right? It's a nickname, right? Or it's a name, it's a nickname, a common name for those 2 protocols. So it takes decodable and quotable together and it packages it into one alias called quotable. Everybody with me? So for now, for simplicity, conform to quotable. Conforming to quotable, you conform to both of those protocols. Everybody with me? Any questions about that? Mr. Howard? Okay, cool. So Howard was saying you could do decodable by itself or you could do encodable by itself. But for now, for the purposes of what we're doing, conform to quotable to keep it simple. Yep.
Like, what would be the difference? Because quotable
It takes both, right? It takes both. Right now we're decoding, so decodable is what we need. But quotable encapsulates both. So if you want to go ahead and encode as well on that same object, you have.
no other difference.
No, that's it. There was the next question. Yes. Encodable is when you take your local JSON, like you can make JSON locally and send it up to a web server. So for example, when you're making a new account or you're updating your information, you want to encode it into JSON and send it up to the server. Because by itself, a Swift object is not enough to send up to a server. The server won't understand the Swift model. So you have to encode it to JSON and send it up in your HTTP body. Cool? We'll come into that later, closer to the end of Unit 3. Any other questions? So for now, we have our struct person. We say it conforms to quotable. And we need quotable here. We need to conform to quotable in order to decode the JSON object, the JSON data. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and create our four properties. The first one we have, it's a name, right? Everybody? Be very careful here. That name has to be the same name in our key for the dictionary. Okay? So name is spelled name or lowercase here. In my dictionary, name is also spelled or name. Everybody with me? Later we'll see what's known as coding keys when we get into a different example. coding keys will allow you to change the name. For example, if for some reason I want to just say first name here, coding keys will allow me to change the name of my model as opposed to what coming in from JSON. Everybody with me? But for now, we're not using coding keys yet. We'll keep it simple. Put in the exact dictionary key that you have in the JSON. So our key is name. Also important is the data type. What's the data type of name? String. So we'll say string. What's our next property? Occupation. The order doesn't matter, by the way. Occupation, string, age, right?
Yeah.
Int, and here we have latitude. We said it's a double. So far what we've done, we've set up our object, our Swift object, such that it's able to be decoded using the JSON that we'll be having. Everybody with me? Okay, so the JSON we'll use local JSON. We'll make a string to replicate the exact JSON object we have, okay? But keep in mind the code we write here would still work if that JSON is coming from the internet. Everybody with me? JSON is JSON regardless of where it is. Even if it's local, on a web server, doesn't matter, okay? But for now, we'll create some JSON here. We'll use multi-line strings to create it. Let's just simply copy it. That's one of the places you could just copy stuff, right? So let's just copy the JSON that we created. We validated that it is valid, right? So copy the JSON from jsonlint.com that you created, copy it, and go ahead and paste it in. Paste it into your multi-line string. Paste the JSON into your multi-line string, and we'll format it with UTF-8 encoded. So dot data UTF-8, and here we need to force unwrap it. Very similar to when you force unwrap like an image or a color. So here what we're doing, we're creating data, encoding that data to be UTF-8 encoding, and now we have JSON data. Maybe we could just call it JSON data instead of just JSON, doesn't really matter. So here we have JSON data. So we have an object called person, which is valid here. We have our JSON data. Again, this could be local, this could be on the web, doesn't matter. But here we're using that JSON data to test. And let's get into the key topics, more key topics. So big here, let's use some vocabulary. New topics related to JSON parsing. In Swift. The key types and the key classes we've spoken about so far. We've spoken about quotable. Well, we've spoken about JSON. We know what JSON looks like. We've spoken about quotable. We'll get introduced to do catch and see what that looks like. We'll get introduced to JSON decoder class. I think that's it for now in that particular example. So what does do catch do? Do catch basically is a block of code we are attempting to execute that can throw an error. JSON is web formatted data in JavaScript formatting. Let's see. Is a block of code we're attempting to execute that can throw an error. Sorry. Thank you. JSON web formatted data in JavaScript formatting, root level object can be an array or a dictionary. And we said quotable. Swift type needs to conform to quotable in order to decode JSON to that object. And we said do catch is a block of code we're attempting to execute that can throw an error. So we attempt in the do block. Let's go back here. So in the do block, is the code we are attempting to execute. In the catch block is the error, if any, that was thrown. And here, thrown basically just means an error happened and that error got passed over to the catch block. Okay? And JSON decoder is the class, the Swift class that does the actual decoding of the JSON data to our Swift object. Example here, JSON to the person object. Cool. Any questions while we're still typing? Can we continue? Yes. UTF-8 is a format, an encoding format. Like there's UTF-8, there's UTF-16, right? It's an encoding format. Like how does the string get represented? If we're doing examples where you're doing a Swift playground, yes. But you do not need it when we go later into JSON formatting. But for the examples of here, we want to encode it in that data format, so we use UTF-8, which is the most common format you need to use. Yes?
I'm sorry, for the catch, can you just,
Catch.
yeah.
This guy?
Block is the error, if any.
Block is the error, if any, that was thrown. If any error was thrown, it's thrown in that catch block.
So you leave that blank?
It's not going to be blank. We'll put in some fatal error or some way to let the user know something went wrong. None of them are blank. There's code in all of them. So we're using ellipses here to indicate that we'll have code in there.
So I can just say the code that expresses the error?
Yeah. Matt, you have a question?
Yeah, why is UTF-8 implicitly unwrapped?
We need to implicitly unwrap it, or else we have to unwrap it later. Very similar to an image, where we have to implicitly unwrap an image, or force unwrap. That's not implicit, that's force unwrap an image as well, right? Because it's optional by default. All right, so let's continue on. Let's actually do the do catch block. Like what actually throws the error?
Can you go over the
Where are you?
just the last, the JSON decoder?
JSON decoder. Oh, you haven't typed this one out? We haven't done it anyway. That's like where we headed. More fingers. More fingers. 10 fingers. You good? Cool. All right, so why do we need a do catch block for the next statement? Because when we use JSON decoder, that throws an error, right? We'll see what that looks like. So if I simply say, before I actually do the do catch block, if I simply say JSON, let's say let results equal to JSON decoder is the class we need. If I simply say JSON decoder, that's the class we need to decode our JSON data to our Swift object. So if I simply say JSON decoder, that decode here, the type I am trying to decode or trying to decode to is my person. And we say person.self to indicate the dictionary. We say person.self here to indicate the dictionary. If our JSON was an array, everybody, please pay attention here. If our JSON was an array, I would have to put square brackets. I would have to embed my person in square brackets. So that implies an array. Everybody with me? That implies my root level is an array. But it's not an array. Do we agree? Our JSON is not an array. So it's not an array. I do not need square brackets here. As a matter of fact, that would be an error. So it's a dictionary. I say person.self. Person.self is the class. That's the class I want to decode to. And for the data we have JSON data here. So this is the function we need. On the decoder class, this is the function we need. The function is decode. It takes in the class we want to decode or decode to, and data. The data that we're getting back from either the web server or, in our case, this is local data. Again, JSON decoder is the class that Swift provides us. As of Swift 4.2, this is available to us. Makes it way easier to parse JSON as opposed to before, right? So we have JSON decoder here. It's a class. The method we're interested in is the decode method. The decode method takes the first argument is the object we want to decode to. In our case, the object is our person object. And we say person.self. And the from parameter, the argument we pass in, is the data. It expects data. The data we need is the JSON data that we created. For now, we're using local data. So this JSON data there is local data. As we get into creating data from getting data from the internet, this data will be from the web server. Everybody with me? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate what you said, so I'm not missing, right? So JSON decoder is a class that's given to us by Swift. The method is the decode. Decode is a method that's on the JSON decoder.
Yes.
Okay, and in that method, it takes in two parameters. It takes in struct or data.
It takes in the object that you decode into.
The object, okay. And then when the from JSON, so it takes in the object that you are looking for, but it takes
The object that you want to decode to.
right.
And then the data that you're using. So the data we're using is JSON data, and the object we decode into is the person object. Okay?
When you say code two, what do you mean?
Decode, parse, convert. The object we want to convert that JSON data to is the person struct. And other notes we could do here. So let's see, person.self implies that the JSON root level object is a dictionary. When I say root level, when we look at our JSON, the first line is a dictionary. Here, what's the first line? It's a curly bracket, right? So it implies what, Mr. Jahid? A dictionary. But if it was a square bracket, it would imply an array. So that would be a different way to decode it. If it was an array, it would be this: person dot self implies that the JSON root level object is an array. Okay? Now we come into our next problem. Here it says call can throw. Right? The call can throw an error. Everybody with me? That's why we said we needed to wrap it in a do catch. This particular call here, this particular function could throw an error. Right? Errors that could be thrown, your JSON is mildly formatted. Or the object you're looking for in that JSON doesn't exist. Right? All those are possibilities for an error being thrown. We want to see an error, right? We developers, we want to know what the error is. If you don't have the error, you cannot decode, you cannot debug what you're trying to implement, right? So it's good that the method actually throws an error. We'll see how to throw our own errors, right? But this particular method throws an error. So we have to mark it with a try as well. So try to do something. If something goes wrong, throw an error. So let's fix that code up. First, I need to mark my statement as a try. I'm trying to execute this line of code. Why? Because why mark it try? Because an error could be thrown. Everybody with me? An error could be thrown, so you need to mark it as a try. Yes, sir?
Does this apply to all JSON data? Like, do we have to mark all data as a try?
Yes, if you're using the decode method, yes. Okay, cool. So now we try, let's go ahead and copy this line now. Copy this line, and let's put it into a do catch. Great. So this is what our updated version looks like. So here, what does it read like? What does it read? I'm about to do a block of code. I will try to execute this line of code. If this line of code, if something goes wrong with that line of code, catch the error. And here is where we catch the error. So simply we could print out the error for now. I could print and say decoding error, and we have error. Where does error come from? Error is part of the catch statement. Error is implicitly declared here. On the catch, I have access to the error object. Okay? Again, let's read what the code says from 33 to 37. I'm doing a block of code. I'm trying to execute this decoding function. I need to mark it explicitly with a try because it could throw an error. If it does throw an error, go ahead and catch the error in the block, in the catch block here. And it's essential to see what the error is. We could have simply ignored the catch and the do altogether, just have the try. But what if something goes wrong? How do I know what went wrong? Everybody with me? How do I know something went wrong? How do I know it? In the catch block, I have a print statement saying what went wrong. Okay? So here we have results. I should really just say person here. At this point, if we option click on person, what type is person? It's our struct person, correct? Right? Great. So let's see if it actually worked. So let's put one more print statement. Say print, we'll say print here, person's name is person.name, and occupation is person.occupation. Okay? So at this point, let's go ahead and run our playgrounds and let's see what happens. One of two things. Either it prints the person's name or it gives us a decoding error. One of the two things would happen. In our case, it just worked, right? So here we have person's name is Alex Paul and occupation is iOS instructor. Everybody with me? Were we able to get our playgrounds running? Shania? 1 second. Mr. David, how you doing? You got it? Chelsea?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
Does the key always have to be a string?
Does the key always, yes. Yes.
Is that why it doesn't matter what order it is?
Exactly. Key always is a string there for our JSON. What's next here? Everybody got their JSON printed or their object printed. Okay, let's try to break it and see what happens. So, for example, if I put in,
No, mine didn't print.
yours didn't print, either it printed or you have an error. One of the two things.
I do have an error.
Okay, that's good. What's the error say?
It doesn't say error. It says decoding error, key not found, colon B string value. Oh, did I do something wrong?
No, that's very good. You see, the error she's
I
getting.
spelled something wrong.
The error Tiffany is getting is the error we're about to replicate. She's getting the error because she just said it. I spelled something wrong. What did you spell wrong?
Latitude, I added extra T by accident.
Let's all do that. So if, what did you do?
I added extra T in
In the lat part?
yeah.
Okay, let's go, everybody, go ahead and put in, what did you do it, here or in the
Oh,
JSON?
no, well, I guess in my actual JSON data, I had 2 T's in there.
In this particular guy.
But in my actual, when I replicated.
Okay,
I added this.
doesn't matter, either or. Let's all go ahead and put 2 T's in the struct. Everybody with me? Put 2 T's in the struct and run your playgrounds again. Put 2 T's in the struct, run your playgrounds again, and let's see. We have an error, which is good. It tells us what the error is. Do we all see decoding error? Right? Let's keep reading. That's where we have to not be scared of the error, but dive in. Just go ahead first. Like, what's the error saying? So Tiffany was able to read out the error. She said the error said key not found, which is very good. It tells me something I'm trying to get is not existent. Everybody with me? It goes on to say no value associated with latitude. If I zoom in here, do we see latitude? At this point, you have to stop and go back and see what your JSON looks like. Let's see what our JSON looks like. Does our JSON have 2 T's here? Our JSON, does it have 2 T's? Right? Not even here, actually, right here. Our JSON here, does it have 2 T's? No, it doesn't. So remember we said that the actual Swift object name needs to match with the JSON. Everybody? So let's go back and put in 1 T. What if our JSON is just bad? I forgot to put a comma after Alex Paul, or the web, whatever it is, something went wrong with my JSON. If I run my app again, I'll get a different error. The given data was not valid JSON. Do we see that error? So those errors are very good. This is why we use the catch block. If we don't have the catch block, we have no idea what went wrong. Everybody with me? So if you're JSON parsing, one of 2 things, either you do get your object, or you get an error in your JSON decoding catch block. Yes, go ahead.
Also, when you put the print decoding error in there, that error itself, because I know strings are different.
That error itself is the error object, yes. So let's fix our JSON and run it again. I'll give us one exercise to do. Very good. So here, everybody was able to get the person name printed, right? Amini, what is your error?
I'm not getting here, it's just running this thing on.
Did you close it? Or you might have to do the shutdown thing. Shut down and restart. Or ask Alan for some more money to buy a new laptop. Okay. All right, so we'll stop here. Any other questions before we stop? Okay, cool. Let's see. Actually, let's just continue. I'll give you guys a JSON to do. Let's do a JSON block. Actually, let's do this. Yeah. Look at you, Madame Tiffany. Yeah, you get a break. There's always breaks. I'll send it out to you guys, so you don't have to type it out for now. Okay, so we have this blob of JSON. It's your job to decode it. Let us get to Madame Slack. Create a new playgrounds, by the way. New playgrounds, and then you will be able to exercise this block here. Not the same one. Why you want to do it in the same one? This is exercise to be done all on your own. Code snippet here. Look, JavaScript JSON. Exercise. Okay, cool. So I sent it out, and we know what we're doing. Create a new playgrounds. Call it JSON exercise or whatever it is, and go ahead and parse that JSON and print out some properties of the actual object. Okay? Cool.